my late dad's name is Iyke Osoka. I lost my dad in 2014. I'm the second of 5 siblings. I like to say I was his favorite child. We're getting better every day, but my dad, left a big space in the family that I don't think will ever be filled up. Hello, my name is Iyke Osoka. I'm a filmmaker, and I'm here on the Widow's Corner show.
Welcome, Iyke, to the show. I'm glad to have you, a director, a filmmaker, and a prolific storyteller. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Hello, viewers. Welcome to another episode on Widow's Corner show. And today, we're going to be taking a twist where we'll be interviewing children of widowed moms. And here we have Iyke, who lost his dad when he was 17. So, Iyke, tell us your story.
Okay, so the day my dad died, I came back, because I went to university at a very young age. So I was on holiday at the time, and I think I was alone with my sister. Others were not at home, just my mom, my sister. My mom was in the house. My dad left early for work. Like, ever since I was young, my dad's routine has been leave house 5, 6 a.m., go to work in VI, come back 10 p.m. That's all I've known my dad to do. Then rest weekends. So it was a Monday morning, and he left the house like every normal day. My other siblings had gone to school. I was the only one in university at the time, so I was at home. And around 7 a.m., we got a call. We got a call around 7 a.m. that my mom needs to come to the hospital. And my dad, just fell down on the road. And my mom, at the time, I remember clearly, my mom said she was having cramps or something, I think stomach pain, and that I should go. She would meet me there. And I went to the hospital, and everybody, I think some of his colleagues were there because he used to go with the staff bus. And everybody was just looking, I don't know, they were just whispering to themselves and all that. I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't even imagine that it was that serious. And because my dad wasn't someone that you would find, that he was sick or anything. Although he was sick a month before that, but he was well now. He has resumed work. And the doctor said they have to see my mom, that they don't want me, they want my mom. And so they had to call my mom, that she really has to come. And when my mom came, they told my mom and I to come to the doctor's office. So when all this was happening, I was just imagining what was happening. Like, I was thinking, okay, this has to be serious. Because they said they wanted my mom to sign something to enable them treat him. They were lying, actually, because they wanted her to just come. And when they took us to the doctor's office, and they said, they started telling the story of how, he was on his way to work, and was about to cross the road at Yanopaja, and he just fell down in the middle of the road. And, they tried to, get him up and put him back in the staff, because the staff bus was just across him. He was trying to enter the staff bus. And as he was trying to cross, before he got to the staff bus, he fell down. They picked him up and they rushed him to the hospital. And, they said before they got to the hospital, he gave up. And, I didn't understand what was happening. I thought maybe he would still wake up. I think right up until they put him in the ground, I was still thinking he would wake up. Because it was not funny. I mean, I'd lost a friend before, but I've never really lost someone close to that close to me. And life changed before my eye at that moment. Started to see things differently, and everything just changed. Everything in the house changed. Our life changed forever, basically. So that was how he died, and a few months' time he was buried, and yeah, a new life started for all of us. But yeah, I'm here today, so.
Like you said, a new life started. So what was the new life, after the demise of your dad?
Okay, when I say new life, I mean like, so I thought we were poor before my dad died, but I saw real poverty after he died. So when I say new life, I mean like everything I knew changed. My dad was an average, he was working in an insurance company. I can't remember how much he was earning, but I think he was earning enough to send us to school, basically. We're living in a rented house there in the Kotun at that time.
Okay.
And everything was, because we didn't have everything we wanted. But like now I can say we had everything we needed, really. But we're always managing. There was always management here and there. Oh, we don't have money for school fees yet. Don't resume yet. Those kind of things. But it was not so bad. Yeah. But after he died, so there was okay, first of all, when he died, the change didn't happen so drastic because there was still some money that they paid my mom from his office, like more like a compensation. Some millions of naira, yeah. And we didn't have any idea that things would change, but because there was still some money. But you know how it is, my mom got duped of the money. Yeah. So with people started coming around, introducing her to, oh look, you need to do this business to sustain your family. I think about 3 people duped her, and at the time I wasn't old enough, I would say, or let me not say old enough, I wasn't knowledgeable enough to be involved. So I basically watched this money go. My mom was making a decision. She didn't have the right orientation, the right guidance. People were just coming to take advantage. And in fact, in less than 2 years, we had to leave that house to a 1-room still same in Kotun, maybe like 4 streets away.
Your mom and your 5 siblings?
Yeah, all of us. Yeah, I was still in school though, so I was coming and going. But the little time I spent with them, so we're all in that room, and things were bad, because my mom wasn't an enterprise person. My dad was one doing basically everything.
Okay.
And so it was hard for her to start making money. All of us, none of us were doing anything. I was really one in university. So because nobody could go to school again, and everybody just had to, I'll call it, enter the streets. When I say enter the street, I mean everybody had to go and look for what to do. Yeah. School was the last on everybody's mind. And everybody's doing well, now, because one of my brothers is a sound engineer. He's doing well. One is a content creator. My sister is doing business. They're all doing well, but what I was just trying to say is that it got so hard. We couldn't feed. We couldn't do anything. We didn't have skills, and we're just hoping for hand-me-downs here and there, church to help us. And my mom too. I don't think my mom had sort of like a breakdown, mental breakdown. Not, how do I put it? Not like it was so bad that she left the house, but things were not the same with her. The mom we knew it's not the mom we know even now till today. She became very aggressive. She became very. For years she was crying every day. So the house was not even a place you want to be, because there's no food. Mommy is not happy. You can't make her happy, and so we're just trying to survive. And so after we couldn't pay the rent, that's even our room, we couldn't pay the rent. I remember my mom joined a church. I can't mention the name of the church, because she joined a church because she just needed them to help her. So they helped. They told us to move to a cheaper accommodation. Now we're living in 1 room, but they said that rent is too expensive for them to pay. Like, if we want them to help us, we have to go to a cheaper accommodation, which was also one room, but the toilet was not in the house. So we moved to another house where the toilet was outside, where we were sharing toilet and all that. And yeah, things went on, you know, till so when I finished school and I started, you know, working, so to speak, that and my siblings grew older, everybody started doing something. It took us like maybe 2, 3, or 4 years for people to start doing something, to start helping my mom. And yeah, that was how. But those 4 years, I think they're basically the worst years of our lives. Basically.
Yeah, I remember you telling before we came on set that you guys didn't eat for 2 days.
Yeah. There was a time we went 2 days, and that's just one of the times I just remember top of my head. There are days we don't eat. I mean, we just waiting for manna to fall from heaven, basically. And of course, thinking back, I think we would have done things better. But I remember vividly a day we have not eaten for 2 days, and by a miracle, somebody in church was doing birthday and just remembered us and brought like half of his cake to the house. And he brought half of the cake, and that was the food for the day. So we shared the cake, you know, kept some, you know, the next day shared the remaining one, you know, and before it was just like we didn't know where the next meal would come from. And my sorry to say, but my dad's people, everybody just left us. I don't know why, but I feel like, you know, my mom hasn't yet been fully accepted. Maybe there's a tribal issue, I don't know. But it just so happens that they just went, after the burial, we didn't hear from anybody again. Okay, so I like after the burial, we basically didn't hear from anybody again. You know, instead of family to come around, I think it was those people that came to collect money for one business or the other that were seeing, and they didn't have good intentions, obviously. You know, one person came, introduced my mom to one poultry business. The man just disappeared, and another person introduced my mom to come to how do I put it, to travel to Dubai to work. Yes, they said she should come and travel to Dubai to work. She should pay some money to process her papers, that when she gets to Dubai, she's going to work and make all the money back. I won't travel to Dubai for 6 months.
Wow.
What they lied to her was a 2-year visa, was a 6 months visa. And okay, I think the picture, we still have the picture of my mom's Dubai picture when she sent us when she landed in Dubai. And 6 months, you know, she became an illegal, you know, person in Dubai, and she had to come back. The man left her there, and she had to come back. So I think like this was the second occasion. There was on that occasion like that she was due. So I think that you know, yeah, those were the tough times. And when we now started working, everybody had to find a job. You know, my elder brother and myself. I'm the second born.
Okay.
My elder brother found a job. I started working after school. You know, my brothers and my sisters, everybody, until we started to find our feet. You know. But yeah, the memories, the scars are still there. Yeah. And even recently when we had Father's Day, I was just trying to post, and I was just looking at my phone like, yeah. So.
Wow, so sad. But how did each of your siblings deal with this?
So I think we all had different ways to deal with it. I was saying when we were talking earlier that, you know, it affects people differently. Like for me personally, I would say it drew me closer to God. You know, I became more like church boy, you know. But for my elder brother, he calls himself an atheist now, so he doesn't believe in God, and you know, you can't convince him that there's God. So, and of course, he started reading books, you know, all those books that those people read. And but for my sister, I think my sister also she got closer to my mom,
Okay.
You know, so they were more like
They bonded.
Yeah, they bonded and helping each other. And I told you we were five. Then the last two, they went into, you know, the last born went into entertainment, photography, went to learn photography. Okay. So everybody just had to get busy. And I think that's one of the first ways we dealt with it. Trying to get busy, trying to find something to do. And but I don't think that everybody has fully healed, you know. When we still gather together, we talk about it. We talk about how our dad, you know, now that we're getting older, we realize all the sacrifices he made for us. You know, he died making those sacrifices, basically. And yeah, and we had each other too. Thank God that we had each other to talk to joke with each other, to play, make light of it sometimes. You know, I think that helped us too.
You know, grief is unique to everyone. Do you still miss your dad? Do you still grieve over your father till today?
Yes, I still do. I remember, you know, when I first heard about my dad's death, when the doctor first told me, I cried. I burst into, like, you know, uncontrollable tears. And I remember that his colleagues they were holding me, telling me you have to be strong for your mom. I mean, that's always the problem. People telling you to be strong, and because you're a man, what do you want your mother to do when you're crying like this? So of course, I think that particular moment made me to always try to be strong. You know, try so hard to be strong. And I remember when people started coming to visit, you know, to pay condolence visits, I would just run to the bathroom and cry, you know, wash my face and come out. But you know, the grief doesn't stop. It doesn't stop, because when you get to different milestones in your life where you wish that your father was there, you have those moments. Yeah. I don't think that it will ever stop, because even when I was graduating, you know, I had those moments where I stopped to cry and say, I wish my dad was here to see this. I think when I had my first appearance on TV, you know, when I started acting at some point, I stopped to cry. And you know, different moments, you know, when on his birthday, for example, his birthday is August 28th, can't escape the tears in those kind of days. And yeah, the crying doesn't stop. Even till today, you know, when we are at home together, my mom, you know, sometimes starts crying. You know, maybe she just remembers something. You know, it could be as little as my younger brother dresses up and he looks like my dad so much, and my mom starts crying, everybody starts crying. So it's the grief is still on, I would say.
Yeah, you know, talking about your story, I just remembered mine too. You know, my dad died, although I was already married, you know, but that's because of the closeness I had with my dad. You know, made me to marry like a father figure because of how close he was to me. I was daddy's girl, and he died on my birthday.
Wow.
So you can imagine the torture every day, every year, you know. And I could tell him everything, even like things in my marriage, things I won't tell my dad, my husband, I will quickly tell my dad, and he will advise me, okay, do it this way, do it this way. So I kind of relate with you, you know, how grief does, you know, you still cry even after that. Sometimes I still cry on my birthday. So did it affect your relationship with other people? I mean, while growing up? Were you angry? I I mean, how did your
I
emotions
think that
be?
it also affected how I got attached to people.
Okay.
You know, I try not to get too close, you know, so that, because I'm fear of losing somebody that I'm getting so close to. I kind of like distance myself with some of my close friends for a period of time, you know, before I started to come back. It did.
And I'll just put this in. I also remember anytime, because my birthday is December, anytime it gets to December, I just start crying. You know, I did that for like 4 years, you know, December, because it's getting close to my birthday. And let me just say this. I remember every day of my life, my dad would pray with me on my birthday. I mean, what I could remember as a teenage girl. And this particular Sunday, I called him, you know, on my birthday. I was like, Dad is not picking. I called my mom. Dad is not picking. Let me speak with him. And my mom was like, she was by his side, and he was like, Daddy, your daughter wants to speak with you. And he said, he waved his hand according to my mom. And I said, okay, I'll call him later. Maybe he was still sleepy, or, you know. Then I remember that time around 9, I fell down. You know, I was like, what's making me fall? I didn't feel like going to church. But eventually I did, and the next thing, I got 10 missed calls from my sister abroad. You know, my dad was sick for a while, you know. He was getting better. And my sister was like, Ediri, Daddy has gone. Oh. I said, gone where? You know, and I screamed, you know, in the church, and I fell. I started crying, you know. So I can relate, you know, losing.
And I think that, you know, a week before my mom would later tell us that a week before my dad died, he, you know, I don't know whether he knew or he didn't know, but he was telling my mom that, jokingly, according to her, that in case one day I go to work and you don't see me, these documents are what you use to collect my money. You know, and that was like 2 weeks before that happened. And she was just joking around and saying, no, what's your problem? Talking like that. He was perfectly fine. You know, but he just, and my younger brother would say, because he that morning he took my younger brother to the bus stop to enter a bus to school. And my younger brother was telling us that my dad came back to wave at him like 3 times, unusually. You know, he waved at him, then he came back again and asked my younger brother, are you okay? Okay, bye-bye. And he went back like 3 times. And so when my younger brother heard that my dad had died, it's, you know, everybody had that, you know, and personally, everybody had that short last minute experience, you know, because 3 days before my dad died, I had a dream that I wasn't taking dreams seriously at the time. So I had a dream that my dad died, but I didn't take it seriously. I told my mom and dad, they just called me and we just prayed casually. And I didn't even think it would happen, you know. But when he died, I don't know what I would have done, but I just felt like I would have done something. You know. But yeah, it was a lot.
Wow. So I don't know if you have anything to say to those going through this particular situation, those that have lost their dad and they're alone, or how to deal with it. You know, I said grief is a unique thing, you know, everybody's different. You know, I don't know if you have 1 or 2 things to say.
What I would say is that you should let yourself grieve. Don't hold back, because, you know, when you let yourself grieve, that is when you can start healing. Like, if you don't have that grief moment, no matter how long it takes, if it's 1 year or 2 years, have your moments so that you can start the healing process. And yes, it actually gets better by the day. I can't assure you how long it will take to get better. It will never be perfect, really. There will never be a total healing. That's what I think. But it gets better by the day, and while people are alive, just cherish them, you know, because you'll be more hurt if you didn't appreciate them when they were here.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate, and thank you for sharing your own story.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, viewers, that is all we have today on today's episode. Like what Ike said, cherish the ones you have now. Love them, love your parents, love your siblings, because in as much as we don't want death to happen, it is inevitable. And if you're a widow or you lost your dad and you would like to share your story, you can contact us with the number showing on your screen. Thank you and see you next time. Stay safe.